Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to Market Recap. I am Dan Hodgman. It is Tuesday, June 8th. And if you were trading most of these products, it was slightly a snooze fest. There wasn't a lot of opportunity in some of them, but others like crude oil, man, when they say trend is your friend, it was trending nicely today. It gave some opportunities for a pullback. And we're going to take a look at a little bit of a pullback today that could have been taken either way. We've got opportunity across the board in some of these, so we'll be taking a look at some of that stuff. We had Coach's Playbook today, and if you didn't get a chance to check it out, make sure you go check it out. We talked about things that kind of look ahead for this summer. Had some really great questions coming in, so we were able to talk about some of that stuff. And it was a very fun Coach's Playbook. So a lot to look forward to this summer, a lot of things to kind of keep in mind. You know, the advantage of having a bunch of different styles of traders in the Top Step family that are have traded all over sort of different products. We got to hear Mick kind of dive in a little bit on the grains. And, you know, that's not a product we typically talk about, right? Because it doesn't have that pizzazz that some of these other markets have. But he gave some great insight in the grains world. We talked about a lot that's coming up here this summer. Things to look forward to and other things that you just have to keep in mind, right? We always hear that saying, summer's coming, slow down your trading, be prepared for markets to die off a little bit. And that seems to be the consensus as usual. But once again, this retail world has really, especially in this last year, introduced some excitement, a little bit more action in times that typically aren't as actionable. So we dive into a lot of that stuff. So make sure you guys take a look at that one. Check it out. Let us know what you think. There isn't a ton going on in the news world today other than it sounds like President Biden's supply chain strike force is about to target China on trade. So that could be an interesting one. Like we said here in this title, crude oil, I believe we're making a 2.5-year high right now. I don't think we've been this high since about October of 2018. Market is trading right now, contract highs, $70.25. Hell of a move here. And it's really been a strong 12-month rally since last May. We all remember what happened last May. That May contract went negative and gave us all a lot of confusion. What the hell? How does a product go negative? And then you had some platforms that weren't even enabled to go negative, so people were just buying out zeros, you know, and market went against them. So another really interesting thing to look back on in this last year. This last year has been wild, and it seems that things are starting to get back to normal in a sense. Things are starting to slow down in a sense. Opportunity is still there, yet the world's kind of opening back up. We got the birds chirping, sun shining. It's really hard to argue with that one. So like I said, crude oil this morning opened up below, made that initial attempt. Like I kind of wanted to go lower. We came and bounced right off those overnight lows, and the rally was on, and it was a beautiful rally right through settlement price, right to yesterday's swing high, which is really what caught my attention. And I'll kind of dive into that. There was a long and a short opportunity there based off of a lot of things that we talk about. You guys know me. I love this idea of defining a range as trading with inside of it, and maybe you take that first stab. I took a couple trades today off of crude oil, and there's that first stab of saying, you know what? The range trade tends to pay out more for me than the trend. So we take that range, it goes against, we get our quick little stop out, we recognize pretty quick, and then it shows us that it's not going lower. It gives us our chance to get in on the long side and try and pick up a little bit of a move there. So really an interesting day there. S&P 500 opened up this morning right around settlement price and pretty much spent its entire day there, whereas NASDAQ opened up well above settlement price and really initially looked like it made the attempt higher and rejected pretty quickly. Resolved back towards settlement price, and that was about, if you were catching that short, that was the trade. And gold did not really do much after John left you guys this morning. It rallied right back to settlement price and then fell into the tightest range I've seen, I feel like, in forever in gold for the last half of the day. And then we got the euro. There's really not much to say about euro. We finally got a little push towards settle, never made it there, stayed inside. Extremely tight day all day here, and that as well as the 10-year note. 10-year note did not do much as soon as this market opened up. Seeing some comments and questions come in here. Just want to take a quick glance. Tanya, good to see you. Bill, Greg, Carl, Andrew, fought the tape all day but inked out a small gain. All right, good job, Andrew. PD, what's the best way to buy oil long term? Well, if you're buying outrights, well, yeah, you're rolling contracts every month. Do calendar spreads. There are some good crude oil ETFs out there you can kind of look into. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The one thing I would say, and I wouldn't recommend, is just buying the outrights and trying to roll them each month. It's something I have done in the past. I try not to do that. It leaves us relatively exposed. But there are some different options out there. Spreads. A lot of people are spreading them. So instead of rolling, there will be throughout the roll, there is a contract that comes up that'll be like a July to August spread, and you're just trying to trade that spread to roll. So you just try to roll right into your new contract. That's an option as well, or just trading straight up calendar spreads on them. Carl, what's the best resource for economic news related to futures? Great question. I don't really use Twitter whatsoever, but Twitter tends to be a really great resource. It tends to be where news hits pretty quickly. There are a lot of people to follow on there. Associated Press tends to be extremely quick with news. That's a good one to follow. And really any trader that you find interesting or you follow, that'd be a great source. I keep my eye on Reuters. I keep my eye on CNBC. I keep my eye on all the news channels, Fox, CNN, you name it. I keep an eye on all of them just for some information. But there's nothing really that's futures specific. Top Step does have Futures Magazine. That's something you can look into as well. But that's going to be a little bit more content related. CL went negative because some longs physically delivered needed to avoid actually being delivered oil. Not an issue for us retail. Our brokers close days before our physical settles. Yeah, some people, Greg, and others will allow you to carry through settles or through expiration. And there's a lot that can be entailed in that one. So it's pretty wild. I think I've told the story before. I used to work with the guy. Did not realize he still had some prior month crude oil contracts on. Expiration was coming. His secretary got a phone call that asking where he wanted to take delivery of his crude oil that was supposed to be delivered. So he got a phone call on that one. So it does sometimes get to that point. You got to be quick to get out of that one. Bar chart futures section is good, and the CME site is just about all the financial sites have good futures news and info. Awesome. Besides ETFs. PD, you can start to look at some options. You can look at some out-of-the-money options. There are different ways. Like I said, there's a lot you can do with that one. Absolutely, Carl. And yeah, Greg, back the truck up. The joke was he had a pretty big pool at his house. And when he told me the story, that was everyone in the office was kind of joking. Well, empty the pool and fill it with oil. It's just pretty wild. Yeah, Bill, Bloomberg, great source there as well. I used to use a Bloomberg terminal. Which was awesome. You got a lot of news that came through that one. Bloomberg's got a good online website where you can also stream their news channel. If I'm not mistaken, our founder, Michael Potok, is streaming Bloomberg all day long. We all have something different. Way to go, Tanya. All right. Well, before we get too far off track here, let's go and take a look at these charts and see what we had happen here today. Like I said, some of these markets, it really isn't going to be a lot to talk about. We'll take a look at the equities. Gold, we'll take a look at the bounce to settlement price, but then you got Euro, 10-year note. We'll pull them up, but wasn't a lot of trade there. And I have no problem admitting that there's not much to say about them, and sometimes that's an opportunity, right? We want to recognize when the market's not presenting those opportunities. Kind of like Andrew was saying, you kind of find yourself fighting against it all day long, and it feels good to kind of eke out that little win. but at what cost mentally, right? There are those things that we got to kind of take into factor. And at some points, we just look at it and say, enough's enough today. I'm going to get out and enjoy it. And like I was saying in Coach's Playbook today, make sure you get out there and enjoy this nice weather, enjoy some summer. Get away from the computer screens a little bit. I for sure know I've already got a couple weeks planned that I'll be taking off this summer to completely forget about things. I'll be taking a lot of time off on Fridays, or a lot of Fridays just in general off to make sure I'm enjoying my summer. It's something historically I've always done. It's just so good for us to do that every so often. All right, let's take a look at these charts. Starting as always with crude oil, which was the big mover here today. Market opened up near yesterday's lows, and we opened up and this is what caught my attention. We had that initial move down, but where did that come to? Came right to last night's overnight lows. And we watched them reject once, twice, 3 times. The 4th time, it's a great question. We have to ask ourselves, are we going to reject? Because it was a volatile first hour of this session, right? We rallied all the way up and through settlement price, right? Remember, settlement price is 69.23 here. So we blew through settles. And that's typically something that we're looking at. We're looking for that initial action off of settlement price. We blew right through it and quickly retraced all the way back down to the lows. Now, here's where we get to start to look for a chance. We noticed really quickly this did not attract a ton of volume, did not attract a ton of time too, because 2 things I'm always looking at for levels. I'm looking at time and volume. Time is very important to me. Time spent at a price. We had a lot of time spent here in the overnight session, but during that move, we did not have a lot of time. Quickly resolved to the upside. Where can we start to look for opportunity here? Well, like we said, we have settlement price up at 23. We have yesterday's point of control at 21. We can look for this market to get to that price. If we were able to catch the long down below, that's a great trade to the upside. Now, if we miss that, here's where we can start to look for a chance. We're looking for 2 chances, right? We're looking long or short. Settlement price is going to do one of 2 things. It's going to be a springboard. That market's going to come up, hit it, and reverse. Otherwise, it's going to be an accelerant, and the market's going to move through and accelerate to the upside. Well, it started to accelerate, and it really moved quickly. You had to look for a little bit shorter time frame pullback, some sort of indication to get in at that price. If not, our next chance that this market gave us was, to me, this is where I started looking. I started looking as we were approaching yesterday's swing high. Now, the first thing I did was I looked for some sort of short. And I got stopped out pretty quickly. I recognized very quickly that this market was holding finding that shelf down here at 60. It showed it for a little while. We had multiple touches right around that 60 point. Finally, that says, okay, we're starting to build a shelf. We're bringing in volume here. Market's starting to hold. From there, that was the look. That was the opportunity. Let's see if we can make new highs with this market. And if we can get in long at 60, keeping maybe a 20-cent risk, that BFRN, that 70, big fat round number, remember, that $70 mark has got my attention. We checked it last week. It was a great opportunity. Remember, we are thinking, let's tighten things up. Let's be careful thinking going into summer. Tighten up some of the stuff. We're not looking for the full dollar moves, but if we can pick up that 40-cent move, that's a nice $400 a contract. I'm happy with that all day long. And then it went through. It continued going. If you decided to stay in that one, you had a nice big 70-cent move. So some good opportunity there. Next, let's look at the S&P 500. Like I said, S&P 500. We opened up this morning up above. Continuing this, trying to get to new highs, but really what we're starting to see is this market's falling into a pattern. Market opened up above this morning, and we've rejected this area once, twice, 3 times. We tried to get up there again, but it rejected a 4th time, sent this market way low for our new weekly low, back to where we were trading in the middle of last week. Now, here's something that I'm going to start to pay attention to as we continue to trade in this range. Volume profile gives us some framework. We look at this a lot of times on the daytime frame, but as markets start to fall into channels, we can start to use a larger volume profile, a larger picture to help determine some areas. So we know over the last 3 days, our point of control is right here at 42.28. 42.28 is our point of control over the last 3 days or so. That's going to be an area I'm going to try and pay attention to. We have value area high 42.30 with value area low right down here at 42.19. So extremely tight range where the volume, 70% of the volume over these 3 days has traded. Those are things that we're going to want to start to pay attention to. So to me, we're looking up above. We've seen rejection up here multiple times. Let's see if we can get that rejection lower, maybe down to settlement price. Settlement price was 42.25 half. 42.25 half is our settlement price. We see if we can get that rejection lower, and possibly if we move through there, we can start to look to yesterday's point of control, yesterday's value area low, and overnight low. 3 great targets down below to catch that short. And obviously we recovered pretty quickly. This market is looking pretty much unchanged here on the day to end. Next, let's go ahead and look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has a little bit more life, a little bit more positive momentum than the S&P is showing right now. Over the last couple of days, we are still maintaining trend to the upside, but just like the S&P 500, this market opened up and instantly showed directional move to the downside. Here's what we're looking at. I'll give you a second, see if you recognize it. That's correct. Market broke right down to yesterday's point of control. Amazing how that works. These markets seek out certain levels. We got settlement price just up above at 13,804 quarter. 13,804 quarter. So we have 2 things to keep our eyes, or 3 things I should say, to keep our, or heck, we can go to 4. We opened up higher, market starts to make the move lower. Great opportunity to take a short off the open. We can run this down to settlement price. Remember, 804. We have the overnight swing low right here at 786. We have yesterday's value area high at 762 and yesterday's point of control right down here basically at our low, 741. We have a lot of information down below that we need to pay attention to if this market's getting down there. Now, if we miss it, we start to look for where are our orders drying up? Where's the volume drying up? Where are we going to start to see some sort of reversal? We saw it pretty well here. Instantly, all of a sudden, this market started making higher lows. We made those higher lows. To me, our opportunity was hopping in right down here at yesterday's value area high, keeping our stops in a reasonable location to see if we can get this thing to recover back to settlement price and possibly even a little bit higher. All right, next, let's look at the last 3. Like I said, these last 3 were relatively quiet here today, so we'll power right through them. Gold this morning, quick volatile open, right? John was here talking with you guys about those this morning. And then as soon as equities opened, we had one break right down to yesterday's regular trading hour low. We rallied right back up to settlement price of 1898.80. 1898.80 right up here. Broke off that a little bit. This is very choppy. So if you're missing some trade here, that's okay, right? We broke off of overnight high. We broke down to yesterday's regular trading hour low. Rallied right back to settlement price. And then from there, straight chop. But this was a very volatile first hour or 2 of the day. So if you missed anything, don't feel bad. That is absolutely okay. All right, next, let's look at the other 2. Like I said, these 2 were really not much to say. I mean, Euro was just chopped all over the place. Never made it to point of control from yesterday. We rotated right around yesterday's value area low. Didn't even make it to settlement price up at 121.96 half, 121.96 half. So we never even made it to settles. This was a choppy day in this market as well as the 10-year note. We saw a little bit of life off the open, but as soon as John finished talking with you guys, 4 or 5 tick range, really not tradable. As simple as that. We got to continue to sit on our hands with these treasury markets until Probably Thursday. What's coming out on Thursday? You guessed it. CPI is on Thursday. That's going to be a good one. It's going to bring volatility. A lot of people are saying these are the numbers to be watching here this year. It's going to talk about inflation. So Thursday, be prepared. Be patient. We got to be thinking about that one come Thursday. All right. Well, let's start with our Bitcoin. Where do we got Bitcoin? Where's my Bitcoin chart? I'm always losing it. Here we go. Bitcoin. Today, we're down money. Another sell-off last night that kind of extended during the regular day, trading hour day. $32,745. We talked about that one a little bit yesterday as well. And we'll touch on the other one we got here. Airbnb. Didn't do anything different than it did yesterday. We opened up about 150. We broke down to about 146, 145. We're sitting at $147 a share there. This one's getting pretty quiet. Let's see if they do some stuff to excite that one again. Tesla, down a little bit here today. Nothing crazy, $603. We opened up a little bit higher, though, $625. But, the Tesla excitement has slowed down a little bit as well. All right, let's see here. We got yields pretty quiet there as well. Hence, you notice Treasuries pretty quiet. VIX got a little bit of a pop here this afternoon. We were right around 16 most of the day. We checked up to 17.5, then we went back to 16, and now we're a little bit over 17 here coming into the end of the day. Our GameStop stock, oh, baby, I wish I had GameStop. I tell you, up to 340 was the high here today, but still up about $20, up $300 to the T per share right now. And then lastly, our AMC stock just continues to be an interesting one to watch. We opened up about 57, trading $55 there right now. Always fun to watch these quote-unquote meme stocks and see what they're doing there. And our Dogecoin is 32 cents a coin right now, so a little bit down a little bit more today. I think yesterday we were about 36 or 37 cents a coin. And I'll tell you, the excitement, just that social media blitz of Dogecoin has really tapered off. All right, tomorrow, don't forget, 9:30 a.m. Central Time, crude oil number is coming out. You crude oil traders, be prepared for that one. Remember, just because fundamentally, if it says more supplies going in, prices would go down, or more supplies come, or they're cutting back on supply, prices would go up. Remember, that's not always the perfect case. Something to definitely think about. But then don't forget, Thursday, 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. Central Time is going to be a very volatile time to trade. CPI, jobless claims, both at 7:30 a.m. Central Time on Thursday. So start thinking about that one, and let's see what happens. And then lastly, this date in history, and we'll get the heck on out of here. We got a few for us today, some fun ones. 1948, the first ever Porsche was completed. I gotta say, Porsche 911, one of my favorite cars. I'm gonna sound rotten here, but I learned to drive stick on a 911 when I was a kid, and that was pretty cool experience for me. 1966, the NFL and AFL announced their merger, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, 1984, the cult classic Ghostbusters was released. I can't say I've seen the new one, but the original is always a classic. What a riveting group of actors for that one. On that note, guys, I'm going to get the heck on out of here. I hope you all have a great day. John will be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. So until then, stay safe, wash your hands, trade smart, and trade well. I look forward to seeing you guys in the markets. Take care, everybody.